Hey guys, in a previous video I showed you how to make this ring from a mild steel nut, and it's been one of my most popular videos on my channel, so I appreciate you guys sharing it and giving it a thumbs up. Thank you very much. So in this video I'm going to show you how to make another ring. I'm going to show you how to make this super elegant smooth ring. Very symmetrical, smooth all the way around, super shiny. Really easy to make if you just have a few tools. So if you're interested in learning how to make that ring, keep watching this video. And if you haven't seen this one, I'll post a link in the description or as a card here, and you can check that out as well. So this time I'm going to use a stainless steel nut to make the ring out of this guy here. This is a zinc plated nut. This is a stainless steel nut. They look kind of similar. I got them at a place called Fastenal, depending on how you want to pronounce it. And they came in a package of 6, like this. So if I make any mistakes, I got a couple extra ones to fall back on. So the first thing I'm going to do to make this nut a little easier to work with. Now, I don't know how well annealing stainless steel will work, but I'm going to heat it up and just let it cool slowly. It works well for just regular mild steel. Stainless steel, it depends on the composition. I'm just going to try this, and hopefully it'll make it a little easier to work with. Okay, that's looking pretty good. And I'm going to let it cool slowly. So now that I've let the nut cool back down, I'm going to file it out until it fits your finger, and I'm going to make it fit my finger here, probably, just as a test. I'm not sure quite yet, but I think for now I'm going to aim for this one. And I have a ring mandrel as well to size it. But for now, I'm going to use a die grinder, which is this guy here. That's a die grinder. Or alternatively, you could use a dremel with a stone bit or some type of cutting bit in order to ream this out as well. So that's another option you can use, or you can just use a file. I'm going to use a ring mandrel here to figure out the size. Optional if you're making it for yourself, because you could just keep going until you figure out the size of your finger. But since this is going to be a gift, I'm going to have to go off the size. So I think I've got it to the point where I want it. And so this is a ring mandrel. This guy here. You get these off of Amazon or a jewelry supply place. They're pretty common. They're easy to get. So anyways, next I'm going to figure out how I'm going to round out the outside. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. So now that I have the ring marked, the thickness that I want for the band, I'm going to remove this excess material. I'm fortunate enough that this nut isn't too thick, too wide, whereas previously I've had some nuts where I've marked it and then I had to use a hacksaw and then saw off the excess before hitting it with my belt sander or file. And I've completely, like I said before and in my other video, I've made a ring completely with just hand files. So you could totally just use a hand file and just file away at this just file away at this completely. If you have a nice flat file, you can totally just remove all that material. It'll take a while, but you can totally do it. So if you don't have all the belt sanders or anything like that, so you could totally do this by hand. Okay, I'm going to hit it with the belt sander now just to remove the excess to get it down to the thickness that I want. I mentioned that if you don't have a belt grinder like this here, this sanding system, this 1x42 belt grinder, that you could use sandpaper and files. But I just wanted to show you some of the other tools that some of you might have to make this a lot easier, because just doing it with just sandpaper or files to make this ring, it would be very, very challenging and take a while, but it's possible. So this is a secondary option, which a lot of people would have, is it's a belt sander, a portable belt sander. Just clamp this down and then do your grinding away at this. Use this as your platen. That will work great, and these are very common and inexpensive. Probably a lot of people already have these. Something like this system here is a little less common, but it's a combination grinding wheel and belt sander on one side. That's an option. And lastly, this system here, which is a combination disc sander and belt sander in one, and these are readily available. They're fairly inexpensive too for a system like this, and you can use it for all kinds of stuff. And you could totally grind on the flat on the disc and on the belt up here. So there's a few alternatives if you don't have a particular belt grinder like mine for sharpening. So what I've ended up doing was sticking the nut in a vise, or in a pair of vice grips I should say, because I was dunking it in water to keep it cool, but it was starting to wear off the marking, so I just stuck it in a pair of vice grips, so it made it a lot easier to hold. And I got one side flattened, and now I'm going to do the other side. So I think I will leave it at that for the thickness. I'll clean it up with some files now, just make sure it's completely flat. Measured all the way around, and it's pretty darn close. It's about 5.9 all the way around. 5.8 there, 5.9, so I'm pretty happy with that. So it's pretty even. Next, what I need to do is I need to round off all of these. So I'm going to do that also on the belt. I'm going to mark them first, just to get a rough idea so I don't go too far. And then I'll round it off on the belt grinder. But again, you can totally do it with files as well. Okay, I've marked it with a Sharpie. I just eyed it. I just don't want to remove too much that might go out of whack. While I have it on the grind, just some rough lines so I can kind of see, so I can have a circle. And then I'm going to figure out how to make it completely round afterwards. I think that's looking pretty good. Got it all rounded off. Next, I'm going to have to start removing material and thinning it down, and then putting a curl on both sides. Kind of a comfort fit type of thing, round off the two sharp edges. So what I have here now is a piece of aluminum rod, and I've wrapped masking tape all the way around it to build it up so it's the size of the inside of the ring. What I'll call now a ring anyway. It used to be a nut, so now I guess it's starting to take shape as a ring. And so I got a nice snug fit on this, so I just pounded this down, tapped it down gently with a piece of wood, and then this will now fit on my drill, in the chuck of my drill. And what I've essentially created is kind of like a lathe, and I'm going to run this on sandpaper to smooth it out. Now I'm going to run it on my belt sander because it's just going to be quicker, but you can totally do it with a file. File might be a little harder actually. You'd probably want to do it with some really high quality sandpaper at a rough grit.
Aluminum oxide sandpaper probably won't work so good for this. You want to use like an emery cloth of some sort, something that's a little tougher probably. Alright, so that's what I'll do next, and that should start smoothing out the ring and all those ridges and the bumps that that weren't perfectly ground or sanded out in the previous step. So this will actually make it round like a ring. It's actually looking pretty darn good, I think. It's rounded it off very nicely. So the ring is looking pretty good. Occasionally I had to cool it off with some water. And as you can see, it's thinned down. It's getting pretty round. It's looking nice. Fits my pinky actually. Actually, that's looking pretty good. Now what I'm going to do is stick it back on, and I'm going to round off one's edge and then round off the other edge, doing the exact same technique by running it on a piece of sandpaper, on, in my case, a belt grinder. And then I'll start polishing it using finer and finer grits of sandpaper. Alright, I'm going to do a little bit by hand just to show you. I'm going to use emery cloth. This is, I believe, this is 80 grit. So I cut off a little piece here, and I'm just going to round off the edges now. Word of caution though, anytime you're working with something that's spinning with your hand, don't wear a glove and do this, because if the glove should happen to catch or anything, you're going to be in a world of hurt. And make sure you don't leave your drill on auto. Make sure you're using it, or I should say, don't lock it down somehow with a pull tie or something silly like that. Make sure you're using it by hand. So in case something bad happens, something catches, you can, you can stop it immediately. Alright, I've only just started rounding it, and it's already starting to get a nice roundness to it. So I'm just going to keep at it here for a while, and then I'll check back. Alright, been working at this for a few minutes now. It's taken a while. It takes a lot longer than using it on a belt sander, just because there's not that extra feature of a belt moving. But it's looking pretty good there. You can see that it's rounded off nicely. So I'm going to flip it around and then do the other side. I guess I'll call this could be called like a comfort fit. Also, if you feel it's starting to get too hot, just dunk it in some water to cool it off. Alright, so what I was doing there was I was running my hand on it like this to smooth it off, kind of blend on all the curves and all the markings. Don't grab a hold really tight with your fist. I kind of had my fist loose. My thumb was free, so in case the drill did catch. I have a pretty powerful drill. This is a DeWalt hammer drill, so it's this will chuck you off a ladder if you're not careful. So make sure not to grab a hold, and then if it catches, you're gonna break a finger or a wrist or something silly like that. So don't do anything like that. All right. So that's looking pretty darn good. So I'm going to grab a piece of 150 now, and then smooth this all out. 150 now. Gonna start smoothing this out. Alright, the 150 removed all the scratches from the 80 grit. Kind of see it there. Looking nice. Hopefully that's in focus. Can't really tell because I got the camera on a weird angle, but I think it's looking, yeah, that's pretty good. All right, I'm gonna move it to the 220 now. All right, we're moving up to 220 now. All right, that's it's taken out a lot of the scratches from the previous grit, so just gonna keep at it here. Next, I'm gonna move it up to like a maybe a 280, then a 320, maybe straight up to 400. I'm not sure yet. That might give it a nice satin finish, but I might go for a polish finish. Okay, next I got some. I believe this is 280. I'm gonna make my way through all the grits. Then I'm gonna work my way from 280. I got some 320 now. Okay, as a 320 grit, this is starting to look really, really good now. Even better than before. It's got a satin finish. You know, if someone wanted to, they could just pretty much call it a day right there. You know, that's looking decent. But I'm going to take it up to a high gloss mirror finish. So I'm going to keep working my way through the grits. So that was 320. I'm going to pop it back on. I'm going to hit it with some 400 next, 600, and then probably 1,000, and then polish. So I'll show a couple more grits, but that's essentially how you do it. Just keep at it with more and more finer and finer grits of sandpaper. And it'll just take out the scratches from the previous grit, and that's how you get it to nice and shiny. So I'm going to keep working at it, and then I'll come back and then I'll polish. So I got the ring pretty shiny now. I'll show you here in a sec, but I worked my way up through 600, then I did 800. I'm up to 1,000 right now, and I do have, I believe, a piece of 1,500 here as well. Yeah, that's a piece of 1,500, the one's cut off. And I just want to make a mention about when working with these higher grit sandpapers, as they're getting so fine. Also, this is automotive sandpaper, so get this in the automotive section. You probably won't find it just in the hardware section, depending on your hardware store. Anyways, I bumped this up to a faster speed when working with these higher grits in order to start getting a polish on this. So I just want to make mention that as you're working through these higher grits, ideally if you could do it wet, that would work really well, but I can't do that right now because it's really cold out and just not fun working with water out in the cold. So what I did was, because if I do it inside, it just makes such a mess, I'm just working through each piece of sandpaper and it'll just wear it down really, really quick. But you know, that's just the way it is. It's a consumable expense. So I got this up to about 1,000 now. So I'm just going to work out a little more and then I'll show you, and then I'll take it up to the 1,500 here. So you want to work through all parts of the sandpaper to get new grit. And that applies for the earlier stages as well, just that the rougher grits, it's going to tend to remove material, but with this polishing grits, you know, you want to start just moving around to all the other fresh spots that are still rough. All right, let's have a look at this. It's already getting super shiny, and I haven't even hit it with any polish yet. That is looking awesome. I'll get this in some better light later once I get it all polished up, but that's looking pretty good. I think that's looking pretty darn good. I am very happy with that. That is awesome for a stainless steel nut. Yeah, that's looking great. We'll hit that with some metal polish and that'll pop even more. And the lighting in here isn't that good either out in the garage, so. Alright, what I got here is now some metal polish for a car, and I have a yogurt container or an ice cream container of some sort, so that I'm going to use the Dremel here with a polishing, buffing wheel type of accessory, and I got my ring here, and I'm just going to apply some of this and then buff it in here. And the reason why I'm using the yogurt container is that when I work on it in here, anything that flicks off, it'll just get flicked off in here. It's just a little trick I learned, little trick I thought of, and it just keeps things a lot cleaner. So I'm going to just apply a little bit of this metal polish on the inside here, start on the inside, then I'll do the outside. There we go. Look at that. That just popped. That is super shiny. Look, I can see myself in it. You can see the camera and me behind the camera. It's looking awesome. The light still is not that good because it's so shiny, but I think you can kind of see it, how nice that looks now. That just absolutely popped on the inside and the outside. That 1500 grit sandpaper definitely made a difference. There, you can kind of see when it's on my hand how good that looks. It's nice and smooth, super comfortable. It's not meant for me. It's not meant for my baby finger anyway. So, but it does feel comfortable and that doesn't catch or anything. Anyways, that's it there. I'll post some pictures at the end here just to show you how it looks in some better light. But yeah, I am super stoked about this. This looks awesome. This will make a great gift. Alright, so one last thing. I couldn't just have the ring and not have a nice presentation box for it. So I made this box out of a piece of exotic hardwood, a piece of bocote, and I was able to get the grain to still line up after cutting it. Looks pretty nice. I'll have a separate video on how I made this box, but I'm pretty happy with it. Looks really nice, and it slides and turns. The only thing I have to finish is just get something proper for the ring to sit in. Right now I have some cotton in there, but it looks pretty good. Quite pleased with it. I got a magnet here, and then on the other side here I have a piece of metal here so that it sticks, so it stays closed. And then when I want to open it, you just swing it and it opens. Quite pleased with that. I think I did a nice job on that guy. Alright, so that's how to make a ring from a nut, including the box to hold the ring. If you like this video, subscribe to my channel, check out my other videos, and thanks for watching. Give it a thumbs up if you like this video too. Thanks.